Greg Garza hanging out with us with our friends at Beyond Goals. So what was in the cup, sir? Was that your morning cup of coffee?
This is I guess I make like 2 cups in here,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah, I guess it'd be like a grande, I guess. I don't know. This is my second grande of the day.
Okay,
My first one was at 5 a.m. this morning.
So all right, so this is your second grande, so this is technically cups 3 and 4 for normal folks.
Yeah, I think I'm already like I've already completed my day. I'm already at 12,000 steps.
What?
At 9:30.
What?
I know.
Are you serious?
Yep.
How did you get in 12,000 steps in the last 4 hours?
I don't know. I have some mentees that, like I say, they like to get up early and do some training, whether it's working out or on the field. So, that's kudos to them, but it also helps me be in shape.
So when you mentor at an ungodly early hour, is it legitimately, how are you doing this?
No, this is nothing to do with our mentorship. These are just mentees who know that I'm here in Atlanta.
Okay.
They are also here in Atlanta, and they just they say, hey, will you work out with me if you can give me some workout sessions. I always say, yeah, sure. It's going to be at 5:30 in the morning because you got to go to school right after. So, that's a big kudos to them to have that determination and kind of that self-discipline that goes behind it. I saw this quote the other day last week, and I've already used it a lot, but it's interested people who are interested in the smallest of details will always be below the people who are obsessed with the smallest of details. And I don't know if anybody has started to watch like Beckham on Netflix.
Some of us have. I have not.
Okay.
I think Nick has, and I think Jarrett has started.
It is like, I think, I don't see myself at all like Beckham because that guy's got everything, right? But in the OCD like of perfectionism and the smallest of details, like he's cleaning up. It was a funny one that I watched last night. I think it was in maybe still the first episode or the second episode. It was like everybody goes to sleep and he's the last one cleaning up, making sure everything's extremely tidy for the next day. He doesn't like to wake up and have everything around, or a pot or a pan or some grease, or he cleans the inside of candle vases.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to smoke. He'll clip the wick. Just little things like that. And I feel like that's just way over the top for me, but I am very similar in regards to, like, I like everything clean, wake up, make my bed, just creating good habits, right? Creating good habits, because it does a huge difference, I think, in the lifestyle that I live now off the field.
Well, but I would think at the same time, though, how you conduct yourself even when no one is watching is just as important as how you conduct yourself when everyone's watching.
I tell every kid the most important time to train is when nobody is watching. When you have no one to tell you this is what you need to do, when you have just that inner drive and inner motivation to go out and get better. And so when kids ask me to do things like that, I'll take them up for their word, and I'll hold them accountable, because they're now setting that high level of bar of expectation for themselves, which is great.
When it comes to, age groups and things like that, is that something that is becoming more of a universality, where it doesn't matter if they're 12, 14, 16, 18, early 20s, college age, are younger athletes setting themselves to that higher example across age groups? Or are you finding that as they get older, they're getting there, or are they starting younger when they have these kinds of habits these days?
There's very few kids, I think, that have that mentality, right? I think Joe Burrow has said it before, and I always say it as well. The kids who are posting the extra stuff on Instagram, juggling and hitting the ball against the wall, they're posting it for Instagram. They're not really doing that. They're not really doing all that work in the dark. The kids that are waking up at 5:30 and doing things on their own, they're not showing anybody. They're not trying to show off the extra work that they're putting in. They're just putting in that extra work. I think Kobe Bryant's quote, right? Work in the dark to see the light.
Yeah.
But it's like I have maybe one 12, 13-year-old kid, and he's the one that is like absolute gets up the earliest. Um, and it was funny because I train at his house, and in his backyard he has a field. And this week we were supposed to start at 5:30, and it was the first time. He's 12 years old. This is insane to me. 12 years old, and it was the first time that I think he forgot to set his alarm.
Uh-oh.
So I'm in the back of the house, just waiting. Parents are still asleep, and mom comes out with her flashlight just to make sure. I think just to make sure it was me. I'm just sitting there in absolute darkness, waiting for him, and I can't get a hold of him. Can't he won't answer my text. And finally, I go and wake him up, and he was out, and we still trained. But gosh, it's crazy to me to see a kid that age have that determination. And I always tell him, right? It's like, dude, whatever you do in life, I can guarantee you will be successful. If it is soccer that you get to choose for a really long time, this is that you are obsessed with the little details. But anything that you do, whatever this guy becomes, if he becomes a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, he'll be successful.
When it comes to you and your own path and trying to find out guidance as a mentor and what you're learning as a mentor, whom have you gravitated toward to get your baseline when it comes to advice and guidance and approach? Who are some of the folks? Because I've noticed that even this morning there are a lot of quotes attached to athletes that you hang your hat to because it follows a certain path and a certain ideal. When you search for advice and when you search for guidance or pathways when it comes to mentoring, who do you search for and who
Yeah,
have you listened to?
there's so much out there to learn, right? I think social media can be used in the best ways possible. Like my explore or all that kind of stuff on Beyond Goals, or even my personal, is just, it's all motivational quotes. It's all people speaking about the longevity of success. It's all the consistency, creating good habits, and it gives examples of what these people did. Um, and I think for me, that was a question that was asked 3 days ago. I had to speak. I spoke with Soccer in the Streets and their team as adults, and just spoke about the integrity of that consistency and the integrity of building a connection with between mentor and players. And that was a question that was brought up. It was, who do I look as my mentor? Who do I find as my mentor? Still being a mentor. And my answer was that I learn through the kids. I learn through the kids. I feel like the kids teach us so much. And that's where I think I get a lot of the ideas from, the ideology of understanding how to be a better mentor, because I am trying to make that unique connection with every single kid possible, to understand how they think, how they carry themselves, what are their flaws, what can we continue to get better, how honest can they be, right? And that for me is vital. Is vital for me to be the best mentor I can be. Is establishing that connection with each and every young kid. And that's that. I would say I am the mentor. They are my mentees, but in turn, I'm also their mentee in some sort of way, learning through them as well.
Did that light click on, that idea click early for you in being a mentor, where it's like, hey, I'm actually learning from them as I'm hoping that I am able to give them the opportunity to learn? But did that two-way street occur to you early
Yeah,
on?
yeah, for sure. Because I think you look at the tendencies, right? You look at certain things that are very common denominators. throughout a lot of the sessions and throughout a lot of the conversations that we have. I think that although, like I always say, every kid thinks of themselves so differently, and every kid's path is going to be so much different. But there are a lot of similarities in regards to each and every path every one of those kids are taking. Whether it's the kids that are dealing with injury, right? There's a lot of similarities into what they are thinking, right? Am I going to come back and be the same player? Am I going to have the confidence? Am I going to have the self-belief? And do I feel just like giving up? And I think that's where I'm able to learn with how they think, use my own personal experiences, but also continue to do that research in regards to finding maybe quotes or finding things that they can live by and kind of help them get through those situations. But I love, right. These are just examples of when the fire is already there, right? The fire is already burning down the house. But I love what Parkey says is that, the most valuable time to use us as mentors and just to have us as mentors is before that fire starts, is before you have to go through those challenges or before that obstacle or that hurdle is in front of you, because you're now given you're given the lessons and the teachings that will help you when those challenges and when those obstacles occur. We all know they're going to occur at some point in time. And that's probably the hardest conversation that I have sometimes with parents on a discovery call or on a call is like, my kid doesn't need this. My kid is absolutely confident.
Wow.
My kid is killing it. My kid has this. He has this. He's going to be this. He's going to do that. He's already done this. He's already done that. And you don't say it, but in the back of my mind, you're just thinking, well, just wait. Just wait, because there's going to be some massive and major challenges that kid's going to go through. And then what if it's too late? What if it's too late that you didn't have that person there explaining to them, hey, this is most likely going to happen if you go down this path. And sometimes that's the case, right? We always think, I think it's very important for us to think positively, but I mean, I think even for myself, always prepare for worst case scenario. Think positively, prepare for worst case scenario.
Yeah, pretty much in television, I always think of things from a producer standpoint. Go from 100% wrong and work your way forward. Halftime here of the Friday Free Kick. Greg Garza and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. And as Greg enjoys his second grande of the day, Nick Alifi is now in to join us for the second half of the Friday Free Kick. Nick, awesome. What is on your mind with Greg Garza?
Well, I was just sitting back and listening to the conversation about, what you guys were talking about with as far as injuries and confidence and everything else. I think that's something that people often overlook when it comes to, to injuries and things of that sort, is not only do you have to heal physically, but also heal mentally as well, and with kids, it can happen so quickly and immediately it's like, well, all right, the confidence goes away. The confidence takes a dip. The confidence takes a hit. We see it on the Netflix show, the documentary with David Beckham, right? How the confidence, even you could have a supremely confident player, those, whether it's external or internal, the confidence takes a hit. Greg, how do you guys address the confidence dips? So when that parent, like you said, says, no, everything's fine. My kid's great. We know that that's not a permanent state of being, right? So how do you guys handle dips in confidence, or how do you prepare kids for that dip in confidence, whether it's from an injury or whether things just, they kind of hit a rough patch, they kind of go cold in their touch? How do you guys prepare kids for that and prepare parents for that as well?
Yeah, I think my easiest answer, that's a great question. I would say my easiest answer is just to help them create good habits. Help them create good habits and try and find a form of consistency within those habits. Because I feel like when you are a very task-oriented person, and when you are able to feel that sense of accomplishment, then it allows you to kind of, I always say the the line of, celebrate your small victories to prepare yourself for the bigger challenges ahead. And, I think that's a great way to kind of prepare them to understand what their small victories are. I use personal experiences as the proof of it. And I think, if I were to look at my surgeries, or if I were to look at my injuries, right, it's like my hip reconstruction. I had, 3 surgeries in 2 different rounds within a span of 1 month. And then after that, I was, practically bedridden for, 3 to 4 weeks. And then after that, it was essentially in a wheelchair, right, driving around the grocery store in the little electric wheelchairs, getting things. And then after that, it was getting into crutches and still not able to really walk and just kind of being hunched over. And then after that, it was essentially, learning how to walk again in a pool. And it's like, that was going through my mind, learning how to walk again, right? Learning how to walk correctly. In the back of my mind, of course, there's that self-doubt. There's that dip of confidence thinking, holy crap, I don't know if I'm ever going to play the game again, if I'm essentially learning the basics of just, rotating my leg, pushing me forward. But I think I had a lot of great people that were there, whether it was PTs or fitness coaches or coaches guiding me along the way, helping me create those good habits of every single day and allowing me to understand those small victories. And the small victory was I took a step further the next day in the pool, or I was able to lift my leg a little bit higher. And it was those small measurement of details were massive for a confidence buildup. And so I look at another surgery, which is my shoulder reconstruction, right? It was, I remember after the 4th, 5th time that I dislocated it here in Atlanta was the time I finally had to get surgery in 2018. And I missed a couple months of that season, but it was, I remember the first day of PT with the good old Mario Cruz at Atlanta United. And it was like, literally, I think he lifted my hand just like this. And he was like, all right, you're done for the day. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that's all you got today. That was our measurement for the day. And I was like, oh, well, we didn't do anything. I feel like my arm just lifted literally a millimeter. And he said, well, tomorrow we'll do a little bit more. And it was just this constant grind of understanding, creating those good habits of showing up every day and creating those small, detailed habits to continue to push forward, to continue to grind forward. And I think that in turn creates that confidence. That in turn creates that consistent mindset to think that, okay, if I'm able to accomplish those tasks at hand, it's going to give me more confidence to build off that.
How much doubt / insecurity about your message and your path have you had as a mentor? I mean, do you ever sit there and have second thoughts about a particular message with a particular athlete on a particular day? Or is it something that you just file to the side, plow through, understand what happened, and just pick it up the next day? Like that PT session where you go to a certain point and then it's like, okay, we're done for tomorrow. Then you do a little more, do a little more, do a little more. Have you had any doubts when you've become a mentor?
Most definitely. Yeah. Every kid retains information differently. There's been times where I think I've finished the session and I've thought, holy shit, I think I just scared the kid. And excuse my language, but it's almost one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this kid wants to speak to me again, because now I might have just scared him, putting so much responsibility and accountability on his shoulders. And even although I thought, okay, this is a 16, 17-year-old kid, maybe he's not ready for that. Because we're like I always say, we all got different things going on. We all have different ways of thinking. So I think those are lessons that are also learned, that the next time I speak to that kid, okay, I have to tone down maybe the way I speak. And that's another thing that I said that was massive within a few days ago with Soccer in the Streets as well. Us as teachers and us as mentors and us as, motivators and kind of uplifters, We have to understand each and every individual and what we can get the best out of every single one of them. The best coaches I had in my whole entire career were guys that did not, that they had a certain philosophy around the style of play that they wanted to bring, but they understood each and every individual and those assets that could be brought every single day from that each and every individual. Let's take into accountability Frank DeBoer, right? Coming into Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way Frank DeBoer wanted to change his philosophy any way whatsoever to find any sort of connection with each and every player. It was his way. It was going to be his way or the highway, right? And that's what I think was probably detrimental, right, to the success within that team, because there was no connection made between coach and player, not players, but player. And I think that's something as a mentor I've come to learn as well, is that the when you are able to make that connection with a kid, and you're able to make that bond and connection with the kid, and they earn your trust, or sorry, you earn their trust and you earn their respect. Kids are resilient, man. They'll run through a brick wall for you. But that's kind of the major lesson that I think I've learned throughout as well.
Nick, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's something that gets really overlooked. You know, when you talk about building habits and focusing on details. One of the best coaches I think I ever had was my former Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor named Jacare, who would watch class and watch all of these people get really frustrated because they were trying to go 100 miles an hour after coming back from injury or illness, or, you know, maybe they failed a belt promotion test. And he stopped class one time. He said, I want everybody here to stop focusing on proving yourself. No more proving, only improving. And we focus on the details. And I remember being so annoyed that, okay, I'm having to worry about the position of my thumb. And he would sit there and go, no, that Tom, and this like heavy Brazilian accent, right? But day to day, the improvement that he talked about was there. And it was like eating vegetables. It was like doing that thing you don't want to do. But I swear to God, the results were there. If all we had to do was focus on the details and that step-by-step improvement. And that's one thing I love about what you guys are doing, is that it is more of just like, we're gonna do this sort of incremental building. We're not coming in to do a tear down rebuild of your kid. We're not coming down to do a tear down rebuild of, you know, their psyche or anything like that. You're not a drill instructor. You're here to help, you know, work and just focus on details. I think that's so important. And that's something that gets overlooked so often today, because we're looking for like instant results, not even microwave results anymore, just instant results. Turn it on, flip a switch. And I think it's great that you guys are focusing on those details.
No, thanks, man. Yeah. By the way, do you know what jacare means?
Or alligator, yeah.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Yeah, he was like what, 65,
say,
70?
What a name to have, man. Jacare, man. I wouldn't want to be around that guy, man. He'd chop my head off.
Yeah, he was a tough guy, man. Really thin, like 65 something year old guy, and he could wipe the floor with anybody. So we knew very quickly, no, he's not the one.
That's funny, man.
When, you know, that we got a handful of minutes left, and Atlanta in the midweek went to Philly and fell. Look, I'm just going to say it. The center ref was suboptimal, and there were things that should have been called that were not. We talked about it pretty much all day Thursday. Let me take what happened to Atlanta in Philly and turn it a little bit. How do you, as an athlete, compartmentalize what happened and channel what happened into the next match down the line? And how difficult is that, especially with the importance of the match coming up this weekend? How do you turn negatives? And I guess, how do you tell mentees, how do you turn negatives into positives, and how do you turn a negative into fuel going forward?
Yeah, most definitely, especially with the timeline that they only have a couple of days to get prepared for tomorrow. And there's another top table team, and a team we've always had some trouble with as well, which is Columbus. I think you have to in those moments you have to focus on what you can control. You got to focus on what you can control. There's no way you can control the ref. I mean, let's look at. I had one of my conversations with one of the boys this morning, who's a Liverpool fan. Was what if Liverpool doesn't make the Champions League this year by 2 points, right? But if you think about that, if and that's what I told him. I said, as a Liverpool player, if you think about that, it's going to kill you the rest of your season. So how can you focus on turning that page as quickly as possible, and now turn that motivation towards what you can control, and how can you control your destiny of the next game? Now, can AU kind of control their own destiny of getting a home spot? They really can't anymore. Although all top level table teams are playing each other, it looks like. But you have to really kind of keep your fingers crossed that other things happen. But like I said, you just got to really focus on that next task at hand, and erase it. Look at the time frame between our Toronto game, the last game in Toronto, with 3-4 days later having to play New York on a baseball field.
Yeah,
3 days later, right? And that just goes to show that focus when you are playing at that elite level, and when you are Neymar said it in an interview a long time ago, and he said his favorite place to play was, especially as a kid, he said he grew up in the best environment playing in Santos, because in Brazil you play, those guys' season is unbelievable, because they're playing the Brazilian Cup, they're playing the Copa Libertadores, they're playing the Sudamericana, they're playing the league all at once. Those guys play like every 2 to 3 days at some point in the season. And he was like, some games were games that he wanted to always forget. But as a kid, having a learning curve moment, he's like, I was given the opportunity to kind of then prove myself 2 days later. And that's a great idea, right? A great idea for him to have that mindset and think, okay, did I achieve the things that I wanted to achieve that last game? No, but look, I have a game right in front of me to now show it again.
All right, what's going on at Beyond Goals?
Same old, man. Continue to help out the communities out there here in Atlanta. We're super excited about everything that's coming together, and trying to plan for even bigger and greater things within not only creating new partnerships, but also within the city of Atlanta. So hopefully be working very close with the actual city, and sitting down with whether it be the mayor, whether it be the chief of staff of the city of Atlanta, to kind of prepare for the mecca of soccer within the next few years.
No doubt about it, as are we. Greg, thanks to you and to Parky for hanging out with us every Friday at 9:30, breaking everything down, and we will catch up with you next time, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Take care, man. Have a good day.
All right, that's Greg Garza.
Obrigado.